Ooh. Hi, it's John on Wall Street. Did you get my questions? It's Rochelle anchoring today. Good. Okay. See you on television. This has been my home for the best part of 2020. I've been camping outside the New York Stock Exchange, mixing it with police and neighborhood dogs.
Oh, hello, Lilo.
Who knew Wall Street was also dog central? The NYSE building shut down on Friday, March the 20th. The following Monday, trading went completely virtual for the very first time. Corporate investors who get a 10-minute advantage by keeping a staff member on the floor were not happy, and albeit with fewer traders and a skeleton staff in the offices, the NYSE opened 9 weeks later. But not for most TV journalists, including me. Throughout the pandemic and in the warmer weather, CGTN was broadcasting from the top of the steps over there at Federal Hall. That's the site of the first ever United States Congress and the location where the first president, George Washington, was sworn in. And latterly, in the freezing cold weather, to this position, not far from the famous Wall Street Christmas tree. But what about the extraordinary events that have been going on inside the exchange these past 12 months? I asked Wall Street legend Peter Tuchman to join me. The most photographed trader, as he's known, is now also a COVID-19 long hauler, whose symptoms leave him feeling a little under the weather most days. At the height of the pandemic in March 2020, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell around 10,000 points from its record highs in February to levels not seen since the 2016 presidential election 3 years before. A fear of recession and of companies simply running out of cash drove the sell-off.
Whether it was insiders getting the inside tip to dump and run, possibly. Were people over-leveraged because the market was at record highs, so there was margin calls and people really having to go into cash? Probably. I think it's a multifaceted picture.
Ask almost anyone on Wall Street if in their wildest dreams they'd have predicted the record highs in the run-up to the end of 2020 for the Dow, Nasdaq and S&P, and they'd most likely say no. So why did it happen?
Let's be clear. What we saw in 2007 and 8 was $1.8 trillion pumped into the market over 3 years in a recovery mode from the failed banks and the financial crisis. This was a $3 trillion influx of money over 3 months, right? So if you pour a lot of gasoline on a fire, it's going to burn like crazy.
In other words, there's so much stimulus out there, the only place to invest for a return is stocks. No point sitting in cash, and yields or interest rates in the debt market, bonds, are next to nothing. Which begs the question, with much of the wider American economy on Main Street struggling, while the stock market soars, betting on a recovery in 2021, is it a bubble?
Right now we have a market at record highs and an economy in deep trouble. That can often happen in crisis, where sometimes markets travel in concert with economies, and sometimes in crisis they go opposite.
Is a bubble going to burst? And if it bursts, is it going to be bad?
No, it's not going to be bad. I mean, if a bubble were to burst, surely it would be bad. But I don't think it's a bubble.
But some say it is a bubble, one that's frothing partly because young people, deprived of sports betting for so many months when games were cancelled, have been using their stimulus checks to trade stocks instead. It's said they helped to bid up prices by more than 100% on some of this year's long line of IPOs, initial public offerings, when a company debuts in New York. Snowflake, DoorDash, and Airbnb among them. Peter's message to those dabbling since March: welcome to the market, but do educate yourselves.
This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is not for the faint of heart. You can lose your money. You can buy Kodak at $60 because everybody thought it was a great idea, and it goes right back to $3.
So warning signs are there, but markets seem to be taking their cues from the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, who said a recovery is on the cards for the second half of 2021, once the vaccines begin taking hold. What is Peter's prediction for 2021? And given everything that's happening, we won't hold his feet to the fire should it turn out to be wrong.
Once we're actually able to get healthy, get a handle on the virus, and start going forward, and we see hospitality opening up, and we see airlines opening up and whatnot, the market has a big swath to go on the upside going forward.
Let's just hope we can all gather inside once again in 2021, mainly because there really is an advantage to human beings over computers. We can talk, discuss, and agree on a conclusion, and from my point of view, that's a big help in bringing you the very latest news from the world's best-known stock exchange. And also because it's jolly cold and lonely out here in winter. John Terrett, CGTN, New York.